How are we doing this week, guys? Welcome to RCA Exotics. This week we're going to talk about some generalised tarantula care. We'll start off first talking about the fact that there's three different types of tarantulas. There's arboreal, which means they live up off the ground. There's terrestrial, which means they live on the ground, and there's fossorial, which means they live in the ground. So that's the easiest way to describe it. So we'll start here, and we have a little fossorial species here. So you can see that's almost all substrate for it to dig down in. You can actually see its little tunnels at the top here, possibly. The little area it's dug, and it's probably dug down about that deep. But that's fossorial. Then we have arboreal. So you can see there's very little substrate on the bottom of this, and plenty of height for the tarantula. Then we have terrestrial. And we have here one of the bigger tarantulas. And you can see now, she actually has never dug for me. But you always do want to provide terrestrial species enough space to dig if they want to. But this is my big female Brachypelma hamori, who actually needs some water right now. So I'm going to give her some water for you guys. So she now has some more water. Now, another thing I'm going to say in this video is that tarantulas cannot drown in the water bowls. It does happen once in the blue moon, but even slings, if you have the space in the enclosure to provide a water bowl, you should, as it will help with your tarantula getting dehydrated. But this is my female hamori April, and that's about as big as she's going to get. So this enclosure is pretty much perfect size for an adult one. Now you can give bigger than this if you want, but this is about the perfect size for a tarantula at this size. Has the space to dig if it wants to, and it has the floor level space. Generally the rules for floor space is 3 to 4 times the tarantula leg span is perfect for it. Anything more than that, that's okay to provide. Your tarantula may or may not be happy with that. Sometimes they do get a little stressed in a large environment. But try not to keep them in something too small either. So the next thing we're going to talk about is feeding schedules. So everyone thinks that with tarantulas you should be feeding on a schedule. I personally do not do that. When I first started keeping tarantulas, I used to feed on a schedule, and I actually ended up with a bunch of overweight tarantulas. I personally believe a better system is to start on a schedule of once a week or twice a week, whatever you feel comfortable with your schedule. But once your tarantula starts to get slightly overweight, scale it back, and then from that point onward, once your tarantula is a comfortable weight, only feed when you feel fit. So if your tarantula looks like it's starting to lose a little weight, make sure to feed it up over the next week or two. If it starts to look like it's getting a bit fat, slow down the feeding. So it has to be adjusted just because it doesn't personally work to feed on a schedule. But it can be good as a basis to start from. Tarantulas can get overweight because they are opportunistic feeders. So if they constantly have food coming at them, they will most of the time take it even though they might already be full. So generally the rule of thumb for tarantula's body weight is if it's arboreal, now arboreal are a little slimmer build. So generally the carapace and the abdomen should be about the same size. If you have a terrestrial or fossorial species, you can go a little bit bigger than that, so you can have about 1.5 to 2 times the size of the carapace. But other than that, over that is unhealthy and risks that if your tarantula falls, it's more likely to actually just explode like a hand grenade. I'm going to move on now and talk about something else. So now we're going to talk about handling, and I'm going to show you what I believe anyway is the correct way to try and handle a tarantula. Now, first step of this process is to find a paintbrush or something else that's soft to gauge the tarantula's disposition at the time. Because just because your tarantula lets you handle it once doesn't mean it will always. So we're going to start, we're just going to slowly just touch the tarantula's back legs like that. So you can see there now we're not getting a crazy reaction. So that's first step. You don't want your tarantula to act all crazy when you go to touch it. And you slowly nudge it up. Try and get it to move in the direction you want. Now, you can see she kind of bolted a little. That doesn't mean she definitely won't let you handle her. Now you can see, she was kind of okay. But always make sure to hold your tarantula over something, so if it was to fall, it won't hurt itself. So you can see my hand is still directly over the enclosure. She is literally an inch less than her own leg span to go if she was to jump. But we're going to try and get her to come off now. Yeah. Oh, come this way. Now, and she's back in her enclosure, and I'm going to go back down. And I'll also, because she needs water as well, we'll give her a little splash of water, but we'll get her to move out of the water bowl so I don't cover her with water. Yeah. Move your butt. So this is a Brachypelma bohemi, by the way. Another Brachypelma species, which I have to recommend if you're looking for a species that is going to tolerate handling. No tarantulas enjoy handling, but certain species will tolerate it a bit better than others. Brachypelma species generally tend to tolerate handling a little bit better. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Just a little bit of general tarantula care. Now again, none of this was specific to any species. It's just general, very basic tarantula care. You know, very basic housing, very basic feeding, very basic water. All tarantulas are different, so do your research for the specific species before you go and get a tarantula. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the notification and the subscribe button. I upload every Sunday, so we'll see you guys next week. Bye!